What's up, nerds? I'm McKinley, and today I'm doing my wrap up for something, This is the last time you're gonna have to look at this ugly background, I promise. Because I got a new background to bring to work with me. Yeah. Like I said in a previous video, I don't remember which one, I can't always film at home, so this is a necessary evil. I don't like filming here, but I wanted to get this wrap up. I didn't want to wait another week to film it. So, again, I'm just going to go in the order that I have the books laid out here because, as I said in my last wrap up, I am trying to read 31 books in 31 days, so there's a lot. Here we go. The first book I have here is actually, I think, the most recent novel I finished, and that's 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. This was actually a reread for me. I initially read it 6 years ago, and around the TV show coming out, there was so much talk about this book, and I was like, I don't remember any of that because I remembered liking it. So rereading it, I do see a lot more issues with it because I am a more critical reader now and a little bit more woke now, and I get why people have so many issues with this. Here's the thing though, I think that the author's intentions were good. I just think the execution was not great. But if you don't know what this is about, where's the rock you're living under? It's about a girl who commits suicide and leaves 13 tapes. Well, like 7 tapes, but 13 reasons about why she did it. And yeah, I gave it, initially, when I read it 6 years ago, I gave it 4 stars. This time I gave it 2 stars. Next up, it's an interlibrary loan, so you can't really see it, but I'll just show this part. It's My Name is Jason, Mine Too, Our Story, Our Way by Jason Reynolds and Jason Griffin. This is a combination poetry and art book. There's a really good example. There's the poem, there's the art. So Jason Reynolds writes the poems, and Jason Griffin puts art to them. If you've been here a while, you know I love Jason Reynolds. I loved this book. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Thought the art was great. I really like his poems. I actually wish he would do more poetry. Now I can say I've read all of Jason Reynolds' books. This one was so hard to get. It's out of print, and it was like $49, I feel like, everywhere I was looking. It was like crazy, crazy expensive. And my library didn't have it, but luckily the Broward Library had it. That means nothing to you unless you live in Palm Beach County or Broward. But the next county down had it, and I was able to get it through an interlibrary loan. And now I've read all his books. Yay! Now I'm going to talk about my least favorite book that I read in the last week. Ronit and Jamil. I think that's how you say it. This is a retelling of Romeo and Juliet. It takes place in Israel, Palestine. One of them is an Arab, the other one's a Jew. I don't even know. I don't think Arab is a religion, but he's Muslim and Arab. This book contains everything that I hate about Romeo and Juliet. You'd think, oh, it's a retelling. They'll keep the good parts and just, make it less ridiculous. But no. And it's written in poetry, right? It's written in poetry. And one poem is written by one character, and the other poem is written by another character. But the thing is, she doesn't put at the top who's talking. So not only is it complete shite, because Romeo and Juliet, let's face it, is pretty shitty, but I also have no idea who's talking. Like, you have to look for context clues. And I'm just like, why are you making this so hard? I gave this book 1 star. It fucking sucks. Do not recommend. Next, I have Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. This book is pretty hyped right now. It's about a girl who writes a webcomic that's really popular, and then she happens to meet the new kid at her school who's the #1 fanfic writer of her webcomic, and they start a friendship. And a lot of people were comparing this to Fangirl, and some people were saying it's better than Fangirl. I would not agree. I see why you would compare it to Fangirl, but I think Fangirl is better. And I really enjoyed the first 70% of this book, and then things kind of went downhill, and then I liked the ending. So, yeah. I don't really have a lot to say about this book with my issues with it without spoiling it. So, if you want to know, I guess you can, like, PM me on Twitter or something, because, yeah. 3.5 stars. Next I have here Honor Girl by Maggie Thrash. I hauled this a couple months ago, but this is a comic or a graphic novel. I didn't put it in my graphic novel wrap-up that I've yet to do because it's long and reads like a book, I think. Like, I'm looking for a certain page. It's about a girl who goes to summer camp. It's like a Christian summer camp, and she goes every year. And she, one summer, basically realizes that she's gay. It's a coming-of-age story, basically. But the reason that I want to show you guys this page, and I got really excited, is because it's about my age. I think the author is probably a year younger than me. I think that's what I figured out when I was reading it. But she was really into the Backstreet Boys. And there's a drawing of Kevin. And it's so funny because in the comic it's asking her who she likes, and she says Kevin, and I was like, Richardson? And someone else said Bacon, and she's like, no, Kevin Richardson. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't think it was gonna be him, but Kevin Richardson. If you're new here, I love the Backstreet Boys. Just FYI. The last physical books that I have to talk about are all by Sarah Dessen. So I read The Moon and More. Reread The Moon and More. I reread Saint Anything, and then I read Once and For All for the first time. So let's start with The Moon and More. This book is about a girl who works like for a realtor, which is her family, and she takes care of their rentals for the summer, and she kind of starts a relationship with one of the guys who's renting one of the houses, and it kind of takes off from there. This is a good Sarah Dessen. I think I liked it more when I initially read it. This was the first time I ever reread it. And I really hate the love interest in this book, but I love the ending. So if you like Sarah Dessen, you'd probably like this book, although a lot of people aren't. I think this is one of her least popular ones because of the way it ends, but I like the way it ends. But I can't tell you how it ends because that would be a spoiler. The next one, Saint Anything, is my all-time favorite Sarah Dessen novel. I fucking love this book so much. This was my third time reading it. I've read it basically, yeah, I've read it every year since it's come out. So it came out in 2015. I read it in all 3 years. So this is about a girl whose brother is in jail because he he hit somebody driving drunk and paralyzed him and got sent to jail. And her mother is kind of all about him and making sure that he's doing fine, whereas she is kind of falling by the wayside in that aspect. And also she thinks about the boy that was paralyzed all the time, and like she has to bear all the guilt because no one else is. And she transfers to a new school and makes new friends. And I love the romance in this book. I love the friendships in this book. I love this book. I love it so much. One of the characters in this book is one of my most hated characters of all time. Like, he's so smarmy. I fucking hate him. But that's what makes a good character. So I didn't see them coming. So yeah, he's up there with Umbridge for me. I fucking hate him, but I relate so much to the main character in this book, and that's why I love it so much. So you might not love it as much as me, but my mom has always favored my brother, and he was always the troublemaker, and I fell by the wayside again and again. So every time I reread it, I'm just like, oh, fucking yes! And I love it. I actually have this book signed. Because when I met her, I got it signed. Did I? Ah, yeah. Anyway, finally, the most recent Sarah Dessen book, which is Once and For All. This book was a lot heavier than I was expecting it to be. Like, everyone was selling this to me as a fun, light, fluffy contemporary about a girl who plans weddings, and it is not that. But I'm assuming that you're not supposed to know that it's what happened, so I'm not going to tell you. But it is about a girl who helps her mother with her wedding planning, and I really like the love interest in this. And there's a dog. There was a time in this book that I thought the dog was going to die, and I was about to fling it across the room, but the dog is okay. And I don't care if that's spoiled for you. Some people need to know that the dog is going to be okay. So I ended up giving this one 4 stars, maybe 3.5. I can't remember. I lied. I do have one more physical book, and that is Where the Streets Had a Name by Randa Abdel Fattah. I was totally wrong when I gave the description of this book in my July reading goals, just FYI. It's about a girl and a boy who are best friends, and the girl's grandmother is sick, and she thinks that if she goes to Jerusalem and gets a handful of soil, that'll help cure her grandmother. So it's really hard to get there from Bethlehem, and her best friend set off on this trek to get there. And that's basically, it's just like a trek. And it's fine. And there's parts that are pretty funny and parts that are pretty heartwarming. But overall, it was read kind of slow for me. I think that she has better books than this, but this is probably the most important one. But I never seem to enjoy the important books all that much, but maybe you will. I gave this 3 stars. And finally, the last book, and the only book I don't have a copy of, is Heaven or This by Topaz Winters. This is a poetry book. It's very short, and it's all about basically her falling in love with a girl for the first time. I think she's Indian, and the girl that she falls in love with is white. She might be from Singapore. I think she's from Singapore. I swear she says she's Indian in the book. But anyway, I thought the poems were beautiful, but I didn't really connect to them because I've never really been in love or even in a real relationship. So it was hard for me to find that connection there, but I still really enjoyed it. And I think that if you have had those things, then you probably would enjoy it more. But all in all, it was pretty good, and I gave it 3 stars. That is it. Those are all the books I've read since my last wrap up. I think it was 10 books. So let me know down below if you've read any of these, what you thought of them, and also, I never remember to say this, but I do have all of my social media links down below. I am most active on Instagram. If you want to know what I have read before I talk about it on here, I do post, at least right now, I'm posting every single book I read and a mini review. So yeah, Instagram and Goodreads, really active on there. But yeah, that's it for me, guys. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.